Welcome back to the Simplicity Diaries with me, Kim John Payne. So glad you could make it again. Well, this week I wanted to talk about bedtime hostage taking. Where bedtimes just go on, and you have to lay down beside a child, you have to be with them. But look, before we get into that, I wanted to give one of the last reminders of our discipline and guidance care professional training coming up on May 3rd and 4th. And this is one of the things I'm most excited about presenting and being a part of this amazing group of people, educators, counselors, nurses, other medical folk, all come together. And we do 3 hours on the 3rd and 3 hours on the 4th. And they are recorded sessions. You can take them that way. And also, if you're looking at going a little deeper, you can take these care professional seminars, which come up 3 or 4 times through the year on various topics covered in the books that I've written. And it's one of the steps when you take 3 of those care professional trainings. Then then you're on the path to being a simplicity parenting coach as a part of our coach training, where you work one-to-one with people. So anyway, that's coming up. Look, if you're listening to this as a recording and this is of interest and think, oh, that's interesting, just go onto the website and join the interest list, and we'll let you know when it's coming up. It's around May, April, May every year. All right. So bedtime hostage taking. Oh boy, who hasn't been there? One of the things that I've found is a consistent piece of feedback from parents is to dial the whole situation, like reverse engineer it all the way back to the day itself. Because what I think is going on with that taking, you almost like a prisoner, and I, forgive me for using prisoner and hostage taking as a metaphor. I know that's obviously very serious, but it's like a hauling on you for connection. It's like their little connection cup quite often is not full. It's not all the way filled to the tippy toppy and then ready to release in it and just fall back into sleep. Because falling asleep is almost like, in those corporate training days where you fall into people's arms, and it takes a heck of a lot of trust to do that trust fall. For children, particularly little children, it's the same deal with falling asleep. They're leaving this world of safety, which is you, which is us, and they're falling back into sleep. And it does take a rich thread of connection. Now, I'm not saying this is the only reason this happens. Other reasons for children really hauling on you at night have got to do with habit. They've just developed the habit of doing this. Other reasons is that they're overexcited. But I wanted to focus this episode on the connection aspect of it. Many of the parents that I've been fortunate enough to speak with over the years, when we try this out, when we say, look, let's try to have more connected time, and we explore it, and it can begin in the morning, and where are your connection times? It can go through the day. up in the afternoon, where are your connection? Where are you building this connection bridge? Doesn't have to be always playing with children and giving them your complete and undivided attention. It can be just helping you with the setting out of lunch and clearing up, and it can be simple little baking projects, or when you're going out into the garden anyway, they come out and help you. But there's this aspect of this connection. It gets thicker, sort of, in a sense. It gets more important around sort of 3-4 o'clock, when you're on the ramp to bedtime. That's a time to start the connection bridge, because often the story at bedtime, it symbolizes it inwardly. A child is thinking, okay, I've got my parents' attention now. I'm with them. I'm not going to let them go. But what about rather than that, at 4 o'clock, you just sit and you ask them what they're doing with their drawing, playing with their magnetiles. You go out the backyard and you can, you just continue on making notes or whatever for your work, whatever it is. But you're out there accompanying them. You're looking up, they're coming back and showing you their new trick. All this is in that hour or two where most kids, even on a school day, have got a little bit of time after school to be able to have free play. And so accompanying them in their free play, of course it means you can play with them, but it doesn't mean that you have to play with them. As long as you're paralleling with them, you're available. And if you've got problems at night with your children releasing you, this is one of the first places to begin, is backing it on up through the day, particularly in those hours after lunch, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, and parallel with them, be available as much as you can. Now, because if you go out, if you have a yard, let's say, and you go out and you're getting ready, you're getting supper ready, and you just take the beans out and the peas out, whatever you're doing, and you just sit outside and you continue on with what you're doing. Some parents have said to me, gosh, that's going to really, that's a lot of time. And my point there is it's actually an economical use of time, because if you don't do that, chances are you're not only going to be hauled on, and you're going to have to lay beside a child for a long time before they will release you, and basically when they're asleep. And if they wake up, they'll call you back anyway, and you begin all over again. This is a way more economical use of time. You invest those connection points, and they can be brief through the day. In the morning time, it can be this brief little connection, going in, checking on the weekend, checking on, and just sitting with them while they play trucks or dollies, or older kids, just hanging out with them as they're shooting hoops. If you have a driveway and they're playing basketball, whatever it is, those smaller moments, those 10, 15-minute investments throughout the day, 3, 4, 5 times, are significantly less time and much, much more pleasurable than being held captive in the evening. The other piece I wanted to mention relates to an earlier podcast a couple of months ago now, when I talked about micro abandonment. And I talked about this term micro abandonment in terms of every time we look at our phone. Every time we're with kids and we look at our phone, we're with them, but we're not. We're checking our phone. Some kind of distraction is always present with phones. And I really do feel it is a micro abandonment. That's not a metaphor. I think it's really happening, and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And one of the few times our kids figure they have really got us and that we're not being distracted is at night, when I think most of us know that you can't be texting as you're reading a child a bedtime story. No one really does that, or very few people do that. And it's a phone-free time. And I think that's what a lot of kids treasure, is that we've got a phone. They've got us when they're not having to compete for our attention. So backing it up again, be really, really careful about phone use around kids, about abandoning them and looking at the phone, because that means they are going to really cling to you when you don't have the phone. When most of us, thank goodness, still put the phone away at bedtime. That's still a sort of a sacred moment for most of us. And so the feedback from parents has been fairly clear. When they have quit or really dramatically dialed back the amount of phone use around kids, nighttime has been way easier. Kids have released their parents in a lot happier way. And I didn't know that was going to be as clear to some parents. For some have said it helped a little bit. Others have said it's been like night and day when they've stopped the micro-abandonment, the digital micro-abandonment thing going on. But the feedback is clear that is really a part of it. So I'd say the two key things, and both have to deal with connection. One is the phone use through the day and dialing that back. And one is dialing up these little moments of connection through the day, particularly beginning around sort of 3 or 4, but not exclusively, not just around that time of the day, but earlier as well, as best we can, as limited and as many things as we've got to do. But it is sometimes just as simple as walking into a room and just giving a child a little hand hug on their shoulder, just ruffling their hair and looking over their shoulder and asking them what they're up to. And they might just say, oh, nothing much. They're 14 years old. Yeah, nothing. But you've made that connection, and it's taken 10, 15 seconds. Doesn't have to be these, really large amounts of time all the time. So that's the nighttime, some solutions to the nighttime entrapment that many of us experience. So again, if you're interested in the care professional training, right at the website, you can just sign right up there at the website. Let people know. If you know some care professionals, let them know that this is happening. The theme is boundaries, discipline, and guidance. And it's 6 hours, 3 hours on a Saturday, 3 hours on a Sunday, and it is recorded. Okay, that's it for now. As always, I hope that's been helpful. Bye-bye.